Hi, welcome to Story Time with Gigi. Today we're reading another story that I found at my local book exchange. If you live in the Hampton Roads area, be sure you check them out. You can find wonderful stories at very little cost. This is a classic, and it was one of my favorites as a child, called The Story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf. Now, most of these pictures are black and white, but I love this story. Once upon a time in Spain. I've been to Spain. There was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. And bulls are boy cows. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. So there's the tree, and he's headed for his favorite spot. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. There he is. There's his mama. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. There he is. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. So now he's 2 years old, and he's taller than that. Okay. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. Yikes. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to just sit quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bulls to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. So let's look at these guys. Those are funny hats. So they're looking for the biggest, fastest, and roughest bulls. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. So there they are. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Ooh, I know that hurts. Wow, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. He was the largest and fierce bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. Oh no. Poor Ferdinand. So they took him away for the bullfight in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing. So here's all the people excited about the bullfight. Must be a great big deal in Spain, and it is. All the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. Even the horses are dressed up fancy. First came the bandoleros with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Yikes. Next came the picadoras, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Oh my gosh. Then came the Matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull. And you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. He doesn't want to come out. Look. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picadoras were afraid of him, and the Matador was scared stiff. They're all scared of harmless Ferdinand. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped. because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. See, everyone's expecting him to do something different. He wouldn't fight fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the bandoleros were mad, and the picadores were madder, and the Matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and sword. Let's look at everyone. There's Ferdinand. Yep, he's crying because he can't show off. That's the Matador, because he's got the sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. Thank goodness. He looks happy. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. And that's our story. I hope you liked it. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you live in the Hampton Roads area, make sure you check out your local book exchange. They've got 2 locations, and I'll have that information linked below. Bye until next time.